Dacus Joannou and the New Museum of Contemporary Art, a media analysis by Tim Jackanet. Due to the current economic recession, the art world is in a state of fear of survival. On March 2, 2009, USA Today wrote, "The downturn walloping the entire economy has hit nonprofit arts organizations especially hard. With millions of people scrambling to pay for food and other basics, a night at the opera can seem frivolous. So museums, symphonies, theaters, ballet companies, and opera companies have cut staff, canceled performances, shortened seasons, and in some cases, shut down." Dacus Joannou is a Greek collector of European art. He owns a group of building and engineering companies. Joannou also founded an Athens-based private foundation that helps emerging artists by purchasing and showing the artist's work. Joannou is involved in the art world as a member of the Guggenheim Museum, as a trustee at the New Museum of Contemporary Art, and as a council member at the Museum of Modern Art and the Tate. Joannou has a private collection of modern art, and he decided to host an exhibit of his own personal art collection at the New Museum of Contemporary Art. The show would be curated by Joannou's good friend, artist Jeff Koons. This is a controversial issue, since Joannou sits on the board of that museum. If private artwork is shown in a museum, the art may be more valuable. Coverage of this story began in late December and peaked in November. The trigger event was when Joannou and Koons announced they would collaborate on a show together for the New Museum of Contemporary Art. The media picked up this announcement on September 24th, when the New York Times published an article about the show. The article made no mention of any ethical wrongdoing, but it did explain that the show would take up the entire museum. On September 29, 2009, the art blog Daily du Jour explained that the show would include pieces of art from Joannou's collection that had previously been on display through a foundation Joannou runs in Athens. The post also detailed how the collection had been on display in other museums in Paris and Vienna. However, there was nothing in the report to lead a reader to feel that there was anything improper about Joannou's upcoming show planned for the new museum. On November 5th, a Time.com blog posted an article that said the new museum decided it would be a good idea to mount a show dedicated to the collection of one of its trustees, the Greek billionaire Dacus Joannou, with the artist Jeff Koons, who painted the Joannou yacht. The impetus for this museum exhibit turning into a controversy was when the New York Times ran a front-page article that began to paint the museum exhibit as a controversial show with a conflict of interest. The New York Times article explained that museums often deal with this type of situation by requesting that the art be given to the museum, and the article quoted the new museum saying that it felt comfortable with the deal. A November 11th post on the ArtsBeat New York Times blog also featured the director of the Brooklyn Museum and the director of the Metropolitan Museum of Art explaining their museum's policies. Another blog post that same day explained a web of connections between Joannou and other people connected to the new museum. The article implied that there is a professionally incestuous culture within the new museum. Also, on November 11th, the art newspaper published 2 articles criticizing the new museum for what it called a potential conflict of interest. On November 15th, New York Magazine ran an online post declaring, "Give the new museum a break," that took the new museum's side of the issue and said the show could be beneficial to audiences. ArtNet, an international art network, posted a blog article that implored people to give the new museum a break, since it said the art world has always been an insider's game and this controversy is not a big deal. On November 28th, the Financial Times wrote about a separate museum conflict of interest story in London and described the Joannou situation by saying that a major row is rumbling around New York. As the economy remains damaged, stories about controversial public-private arts partnerships may continue. If the recession continues, art funding will remain scarce. Museums may find themselves facing more ethical issues about how to deal with their wealthy board members.